Welcome to AP US History Online for Friday, May 13th, 2016. Last class we started working on our final projects for the course. As of today, you should have done the following. Number 1, selected an essential question from the list provided in Wednesday's video. Number 2, constructed a list of facts and details from AP US History that are relevant to your question. And number 3, selected 3 eras in American history that best relate to your question. If you have not yet completed checkpoint number 1, please stop this recording and go back to our Edmodo posting for May 11th. You will need to complete checkpoint number 1 in order to move forward with your project. Today we will complete checkpoint number 2. By the end of today's class, you should have done the following. Number 1, construct a preliminary thesis statement in response to your question. Don't worry, it's just a preliminary thesis, which means you can revise it once you begin your research. Number 2, identify one primary source that is relevant to your question and briefly explain how it helps to answer your question. And finally, identify one secondary source that is relevant to your question and briefly explain how it helps to answer your question. Just in case you are a bit rusty on thesis statements, here's a quick review of what a good thesis statement looks like. A well-constructed thesis statement contains 3 components. First, it takes a clear position. This is essentially what you're trying to prove in your essay or project. Second, it fully addresses all parts of the question being asked. And third, it sets up organizational categories. This acts as the roadmap for your project and provides the reader a sneak preview of the direction your essay will take. If the position is what you will prove, your categories are essentially how you will prove it. The most common categories or groups for a historical essay are political, economic, and social, but please note that these groups will not work for every essay question. Even though we have worked with both primary and secondary sources throughout this course, I think it's worth reviewing the difference between the two so everyone knows exactly what is expected for this checkpoint. Consider a primary source as the raw material of history. Historians write history using primary sources or first-hand accounts. Examples of these include, but are not limited to, diaries, letters, speeches, government reports, photographs, and legal documents. A secondary source is an interpretation of the past created using primary sources. A person who creates a secondary source about an event or subject does not have first-hand experience with the topic in question. Examples of good secondary sources include news articles, political cartoons, graphs and charts, and encyclopedia entries. Here are a few websites that I highly recommend for primary sources. You shouldn't have any trouble finding secondary sources on the internet. Just make sure you use reliable, credible websites. I will hyperlink these sites to our Edmodo page. If you have any questions or problems with today's assignment, feel free to email me directly. Good luck and happy hunting.